What is a short dirt bike, and are the benefits actually worth it having a short dirt bike? I'm 5'6" with only about a 27-inch seam, so I want to share some things that I have learned over the 20+ years of riding about short dirt bikes so that you can choose the right bike and stop spending hours and hours wasting your time researching what's the perfect dirt bike for you. The typical enduro or motocross bike has a 37 to 39-inch seat height. It's usually 37.5 to 38. So what I consider to be a short dirt bike is anything that's 36 inches or lower seat height. That is, as it comes from the factory without lowering it. So why would you want a shorter dirt bike? Well, it's shorter to the ground, so this can boost your confidence, because if you're a first-time rider, you really want to be able to touch the ground when you're starting out, just trying to learn how to use the clutch and throttle, and when you're coming to a stop. If you're coming to a stop and at least 50% of the time you're falling over, you're either on too tall of a dirt bike or you don't have good balance yet. So if you're on a shorter dirt bike where you're able to touch the ground with a foot, coming to a stop won't be as intimidating, because you know you have the confidence to just put a foot down and catch yourself, so you won't fall over and have to pick your heavy dirt bike up again. What's up? You gonna be in the video? But what are the disadvantages of having a shorter dirt bike? Well, when it's lower to the ground, the bike has to be more compact, and this makes the ergonomics or how the bike feels when you're sitting or standing on it to be smaller. So everything's a little bit more compact, which can actually be a benefit, but if you have a taller upper body or you're not using proper riding position, then it's going to feel a little bit more cramped and it won't be as comfortable to ride on a long trail ride. So you might get really tight and cramped up if you're riding for a couple hours on this bike, especially if you're not using proper body position. Another disadvantage is with a lower dirt bike, you're generally not going to have as much suspension travel. And when you have less suspension travel, this decreases the overall performance. So when you have more suspension travel, let's say 12 inches over 9 inches, this gives you greater adjustability to absorb more impact. So when your bike is properly tuned, the small bumps will be able to soak up more, but it'll still have enough suspension to compress and absorb the bigger bumps without fully compressing the suspension. So if you're just a casual rider riding at low speeds, then you probably don't need that extra suspension. But once you start going faster, more aggressive, rougher terrain with bigger obstacles, then having that extra 1 to 3 inches of suspension travel can really improve your performance, reduce fatigue, because the suspension won't feel as harsh or bouncy. So if you're a short female, then I'm guessing you're under 5'6", and this means that a 125 trail bike would be your weapon of choice. So like the Honda CRF 125, the Yamaha TTR 125, or the Kawasaki KLX 140. They all have a small wheel and big wheel option depending on your height. So it's best if you go and sit on one to know if it's the right size for you, if you can touch the ground or not. And why do I like these bikes? Well, for one, they're super affordable compared to an enduro or motocross bike, but the low seat height is really nice for learning on, and the engines are super reliable, very little maintenance required, basically just oil changes and air filter. The power is super smooth and low, making it really easy to manage and handle. You don't have to worry about whiskey throttling it as much as a powerful bike. Or if you're in the 5'5" to 5'8" height range, moving up to the 230 to 250 trail bike. That would be the Honda CRF 250F or the Kawasaki KLX 230R. They're very similar to the 125 trail bikes. They're just taller, a little more powerful, a little heavier, and they handle the trails a little bit better with the bigger full-size wheels. But the power is super smooth, easy to manage, great for learning to use the clutch on, because they have really good low-end torque that's smooth and it's not snappy power that's gonna throw you on the ground. Or if you're a guy with short legs, the Kawasaki has the KLX 140 in 3 different size options: the small wheel, large wheel, and the full-size wheel. but they all have low seat heights. You can just choose the one based on your specific height. The full-size wheel option is really nice if you don't need much power, but you want the full-size wheels that can handle the trails a little bit better. And if you're looking for used bikes that are a little more affordable, you got the Honda CRF 150F. The first couple years, 03 to 05, were kickstart only, and then 06 until they were discontinued. It had an updated engine with the electric start, or the Honda XR200, which is an older model, which is kickstart only, but is also great for learning on. But if you're a more experienced rider and you want an enduro bike that's a little bit shorter, they're a little harder to come by, just because for some reason all the companies like tall enduro bikes just for the best performance. They want the most suspension. But you still have the Kawasaki KDX 200, which isn't made anymore, but it's still a great two-stroke enduro bike that's super fun, super reliable, and has pretty good power with a little bit lower seat height. Or the similar size KLX 300R, which is a four-stroke liquid-cooled bike, but it still has smooth, mellow power, not as much power as like a 250F cross-country enduro bike. It's kind of in between an air-cooled and liquid-cooled race bike as far as power and performance. Then there's the Beta 200RR and the 300 Cross Trainer, which are kind of a modern KDX. They have a little better suspension performance, a little bit more power, but they're smooth, easier to ride, great for trail riding, cross-country riding. And while choosing a shorter dirt bike can really boost your confidence right away, it's super important to know how to ride a dirt bike a little bit differently if you're a shorter rider, especially when you're coming to a stop. And I'm going to show you how to do that with this simple video right here. I'm Kelly Fager from Motocross Hideout. Learn more, ride more, so that you can stay safe, have fun for many years to come.